Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Shelby County Board of Education June 26, 2018 Board Business Meeting. Ms. Anthony, please call the roll.
Board Member Caldwell, Board Member Oracle, Board Member Woods, Board Member Love, Board Member McCormick, Board Member Jones, Board Member Bibbs, Board Member Cornell, Board Chair Avant.
Here,
You have 5 present.
we have a quorum. We're going to move to the Pledge of Allegiance and posting of the color guard. Tonight we have color guard for Cordova High School, commanded by Cadet com, co- commanded by Sergeant Major Griffin, Colonel Cleveland, Cadet Captain Chapman, and Cadet Captain Ferguson. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. On special recognition presentations, tonight's Spotlight on the Arts will feature a special performance by Ridgeway High School Theater student Corey Jeffries performing the opening lunchtime monologue from You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, which was a production nominated for recognition at the Orpheum High School Musical Theater Awards. The Ridgeway High School School Theater program is under the direction of Julie Watson and Principal Jonathan Stenchel. You may proceed. thank you so much for your presentation today. We appreciate always seeing the talent that our students within Shelby County Schools possess, and we appreciate you coming out on your summer break to share with the board. I'd like to now move to the approval of the agenda. The question is are there any amendments to the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are a couple of amendments. There's a Hanley HVAC change order that needs to go on there, and there's a Jeter Peabody intercom replacement that needs to go on there.
Not doing it. Okay. All right. Are there any items to be removed, Superintendent?
2018-19 capital projects resolution does not need to go on there. And then also, we were going to remove the gateway, but we can do it at the time because I think that Ms. Love has some questions about gateway.
Okay. And Superintendent, when in speaking with Mr. Johnson, I think we were going to leave the capital projects resolution on just because it was discussed in work session, and just so that for the record, the public knows that we've approved and there are no amendments to the capital projects that the county has approved. That's okay.
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right. So, yeah, and then we are also moving the item 9.3, we're moving to the consent agenda. Okay, if there are no other amendments, can we get a roll call vote, Ms. Anthony?
Board Member Caldwell.
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanna move something from, no, consent, we'll do that later. And can we get a motion to approve the agenda with the amendments that we've just discussed? Ms. Jones, can I get a second? A second, Ms. Bibbs, can I get a roll call vote?
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member Love.
Aye.
Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
The agenda is approved. We are now on the question of the approval of the minutes. We have, I'm sorry, do the public comments first. I apologize. Tennessee law makes no specific provisions for the participation of public at meetings of local boards of education. However, board policy provides that not more than 30 minutes of each regular business and special call meeting shall be devoted to public comment. Speakers must state their name, home address, organization he or she is representing, if any, and subject of the presentation before they are permitted to proceed. Speakers may offer objective comments about the school operations and programs that concern them. Speakers are asked to refrain from using names of personnel or names of person connected with the school system, particularly when lodging a complaint. Speakers will not be permitted to engage in gossip, make defamatory comments, or use abusive or vulgar language. The chairman shall have the authority to terminate the remarks of any individual who is disruptive or does not adhere to board rules. The timer projected on the screen to the right and directly behind the board will turn yellow when we have 30 seconds remaining. When you hear 2 bells, your time has expired. First we'll have Alicia Harris, then Charles Scott, and then Joyce Richardson. And you have 3 minutes each.
Good evening, all. I'm Alicia Harris. Address is 126 Flicker Street. During the final weeks of school, I was notified that 17 students' Exam 2 and Exam 1 grades were changed. I emailed all of you to tell you this, and it was looked into. I was told the conclusion to the investigation that it was a mistake. Accidentally dropping 100% in a power school for 1 grade for 1 student is plausible. Filling in 100% for 17 students for Exam 2 grades could be considered unintentional. But repeating the process for filling in 17 more times is as intentional as it can be, especially because the grades were then saved. I moved to work for Shelby County Schools as a mathematics teacher. I moved to Memphis from Atlanta, yes, Atlanta, the city where 11 teachers and the superintendent were convicted of crimes for tampering with grades and sentenced up to 20 years in prison. Those teachers were paraded in front of cameras and made examples of for falsifying grades. In the span of one semester, I've been told by my principal in the hallway that I was a problem as he stuck his finger in my face. No less than 3 times I've been told by my principal to remember that you came to Kingsbury, Kingsbury didn't come to you. I've been falsely accused of breaking IDEA laws because I supposedly did not follow an IEP that I did not receive until April 9th. I never once saw a full IEP for my students and taught a class period without an inclusion teacher, even though it was supposed to be a co-taught class. That is breaking the law. I've been harassed in faculty meetings. I've been told by the principal that a student who did not earn a passing grade was going to pass, and I could record him or tell whoever I wanted to tell he said that, which is exactly what I'm doing now. My students overheard that conversation that happened in the hallway. I was allowed days off approved by labor due to him harassing me. I've had students approach me and ask me just to pass the student so the principal would leave me alone so I won't get fired. My kids said this. During my last formal meeting with the principal, he directed my MSEA rep to get her out of my building, get her out of my school, take her to the board. And then, because of the attention I brought to the school, by involving MSEA, which I have a legal right to do, in labor relations, I was then rewarded by being assigned to teach 5 different content areas next year. That means I'll have to make lesson plans weekly for 5 different classes, and we'll have to do all of this while not having a classroom, and that is how my first year of teaching concluded. I came to you all for help. I sent 2 emails telling you all, as the heads of this district, what was going on in Kingsbury. I've worked in a school with a principal that is nothing less than a bully, and I did it both successfully and professionally. I was working for a principal that was accused of the same behavior in Buffalo, New York, where he was principal. Are we all wrong? Teachers are jumping ship fast from that school. The turnover rate is concerning, especially in the math department. As a 3rd math teacher for the year for my kids, I'm disappointed in the district. I thought I was moving to be a part of something great and help the community. I also thought I'd have the support of you all as a superintendent and board to support me as a teacher. I considered leaving teaching altogether because it was clear these practices are routine in Shelby County schools. Stop trying to sweep these behaviors under the rug. Stop acting like these things aren't happening. And maybe take some responsibility in the fact that you hired a man that prefers to lead by intimidation and fear instead of doing what is best for the kids. Maybe I am the problem, but if me caring about being a good person, moral value, and character makes me a problem, I'll happily be a problem the rest of my life with or without Shelby County schools. Thank you. I also have documentation for you all here.
Charles Scott, 3689 Huckleberry Street, 38116. Hopefully, if you have a list of, everyone has a list of the talking points. I'm not sure what to do with 3 minutes now, since in the past they had a minute and a half, but I'll just give you some brief updates. So, Madam Chair, to the Board Commissioner, Superintendent Hobson, again, you'll see some of the key points. As always, we want to make sure we give an update on what the United Shelby County Council is doing in between the meetings. I had the opportunity to conduct a workshop about PTA on June the 2nd for the first parent and community mix and mingle event at the Memphis Delta Preparatory Charter School. Also, I had an opportunity and took advantage of it to submit school safety suggestions to the United States Department of Education safety team on June the 8th. Also, we were invited and we had members of our council meet with Director Lois Phillip of the Family and Community Engagement Department on July the 19th, where they asked us to meet with them so that we can share some visions and goals as we prepare for the upcoming school year. Here recently, and just returned late last night, Charles Edward and many of us from the United Shelby County Council, we were at the National PTA Convention, also attended the board meeting that was in New Orleans. This completed my 4-year service as a National PTA board member. Some of the key takeaways that we would like to share with that event was that we approved a position statement from National PTA and by the delegates concerning the separation of undocumented children and family, so we can advocate on that particular issue. Also had the opportunity to attend the opioid symposium, which is a huge issue, and to learn more about those. Also, I will share with you the National PTA has also opened up a family and engagement center that is now fully operational. So we definitely look forward to working with Shelby County School on that end as well. And finally, I signed up to attend the Tennessee Department of Educational. They're having a Memphis regional meeting on July the 24th with updates on the ESSA implementation and other educational issues. And last but not least, I will share with you the Tennessee PTA annually holds a summer leadership training. It's for all PTA leaders, but we also invite any leader, any school or parent group that would like to come, and that event will be taking place on July the 27th, and you'll be hearing more about that later. Again, as always, we want to thank you for your time and your support. Thank you.
My name is Joyce Richardson. I stay at 1719 Dab, Memphis, Tennessee, and it's at 38127 area code. It's a zip code. And I'm standing because of the $15 raise. I work for White Station High School, and I still make it under $15. And I was here just to inform the board that $15 that they said they were going to receive if they would make less than $15, I haven't received that. Thank you.
Ms. Richardson, can you, Ms. Richardson, make sure that one of the staff needs to speak with you before you leave, okay? Thank you. Next is Lisa Jorgensen and Myra Brindley.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Jorgensen of 743 Beasley Street, Memphis, Tennessee, and here for the United Education Association of Shelby County, the local affiliate of the Tennessee Education Association and the National Education Association. We have many concerns, of course, but these are four of the most current. One, Shelby County students need a good science curriculum to meet the needs of everyone's future. Please fund the science curriculum selected by the teacher science adoption teams with books for every student and a minimum 5-year online access. Also, Shelby County Schools already has a variety of opportunities for school choice. With all due respect, the oversight of charter schools by state law and the State Department of Education has been poor. Data shows that the majority of students in our local charter schools would better benefit from public school attendance. The superintendent's summer school equals and exceeds the extended day, extended year calendar of many of these charters. Please support our public district schools. And lastly, last August of 2017, the Shelby County Schools School Board approved a resolution in support of immigrant students. With the current atmosphere of negativity, including changes in laws, rules, and policies coming from the state and federal governments, please continue to support and protect all of our children. And one more thing. In respect to the $15 minimum wage for all Shelby County employees, it was mentioned over and over again that all Shelby County school employees would receive the $15 minimum wage, and then there'd be the caveat, except for part-time employees. We respectfully request that all of Shelby County school employees are working for Shelby County Schools. They should all receive this $15 minimum wage. They are our children's parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, our community members, and all of our employees associated with Shelby County Schools should receive this raise. Thank you so very much.
Good evening. I first of all would like to thank you all for all of your service. My name is Myra Brindley. My address is 5678 Ashbriar, 38120. I'm in the White Station School District. I'm a 26-year veteran music teacher with 8 years in Memphis City and Shelby County schools. I've taught for 5 years at Lester Elementary and 3 years at Newberry Elementary, serving about 500 or 600 kids per year. I currently have 2 teenage children who are in White Station District. My daughter is a 17-year-old senior at White Station. My son will be a 14-year-old freshman at White Station. He is leaving the middle school, having to get up at, and I'm addressing the time of school start time. 7:15 a.m. for a 14-year-old male body is actually, the American Academy of Pediatrics has warned that high school students start too early. I agree with that, and I also would like to include middle schoolers. Causing a detriment to their health and the health of the entire family. That's a fact. I would like for the 715 schools, and I realize that there is a bus transportation issue because we've addressed this in the past, but I respectfully ask you, and there is a petition being signed on Facebook by a good friend of mine, would you please consider changing that start time to 8:15? My daughter would not be happy if I said 9:15. 7:15 is entirely too early. As well as, if my child happened to be in elementary school and I needed my 17-year-old who is driving now to take my child to school, she would not be able to do that because she has to be at school an hour earlier than the elementary child. That can be a transportation and family issue as well. I also would like to address school safety. I know that there are metal detectors in the middle school and the high school at White Station. I'm sure they are in other schools as well. And I know that they are not being used. And I also am aware that my son had a student in his class in optional who had a gun, and I would not have known about it had he not told me. Never reported, never in the news. I would like for us to please consider budgeting, and I know that you've approved something, and I'm curious to hear exactly what that will entail. Budgeting for our children's safety so that they can be safe and they can learn in our Shelby County schools. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our public comments. We're now moving to the approval of the minutes of previous meetings. The question is on the approval of the minutes of May 29th, 2018 business meeting, approval of the minutes of June 6th special call meeting, approval of the minutes of June 11th special call meeting, and approval of the minutes of June 19th work session.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Caldwell, a second by Mr. McCormick. Yes, you've been my seatmate for 3 years. I know your name. If there are no corrections, we'll move for a roll call vote. Ms. Anthony?
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member Love. Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avan.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
Okay, the minutes are approved. We are now moving on to committee reports. Under my report, I'd like to thank board members who have been able to go out to the safe summer block parties that have been held throughout the community. We've had 3 thus far and had great attendance at those safe summer block parties. In order to promote it, I went on live at 9 and rubbed a camel and a kangaroo. I have a picture to prove it. But I want to thank those who are coming out, making sure their kids are getting enrolled. It's important for us to make sure that our kids are enrolled so that they can start school on time. We have several more that are scheduled throughout the month of July, and so I encourage parents to come out, pet a llama, ride a camel, get your kids enrolled. It's a fun way for us to do that, and thanks to all of the board members who have been able to come out and support thus far. I also, in light of us having these safe summer block parties, would like to just take a moment to acknowledge a young woman who was killed in the Fraser community, and that's Tatiana James. She was a student at Georgian Hills. We want to make sure to keep her family and the rest of the Grandview Heights family in our thoughts and prayers. Georgian Hills family in our thoughts and prayers. We're going to move on to the Academic Performance Committee meeting report.
Thank you, Chair. We actually held a meeting on June 14th. At that meeting, the beginning of it was really around academic investments and budget conversation, but we have moved past that now and are very thankful that that part has been approved by County Commission. We discussed charter applications and as well as our early childhood education update from Dr. McClendon and Mr. Lovelace around that. And also a textbook update happened. And to our commitment, CCTE will have a open spot on all academic performance committee meetings. So they were there. We had no questions though, but they have committed to being there at every academic performance meeting, just so that we can ask whatever questions we need to during this change. I do want to take just a point of privilege because it is academic performance. Actually, today I want to thank the board office and Karen Key for actually leading up the District 7 Leadership Luncheon today. We had a really great time with Al Sac St. Jude hosted us, and it was a point in time when I was able to give a thank you to all of the schools in my district, as well as my few other people that I support, like Hickory Ridge Middle College, and Newberry Elementary. So just wanted to say thank you to board staff for making it happen today. We had a great time, and looking forward to the next one.
Mr. Cornell?
Chairlady Bibbs, did you get a camel?
I haven't had mine yet, so it will be the first one will be from me Saturday, I think, or no, next Saturday, and I'll make sure I'll take a picture of a camel for you. Yes.
Moving on to Audit, Budget, and Finance Committee.
No reports. However, I thought there was an age limit on the camel over there at Bellevue, so I didn't get on there.
We encouraged you to. Moving on to Capital Needs and Facilities Committee. Mr. Orgel is not present, so we'll move on to Community Outreach and Engagement.
Thank you, Chair. We did have a meeting today to discuss our youth violence contracts. And in that meeting, we also discussed our attendance and truancy related to our children. And out of that meeting, what we came to the conclusion that we need to have another robust meeting with different different district officials at that meeting, because we did have a lot of questions, and I don't think that Chief Darling and Dr. Hargrave were able to answer questions pertaining to other departments. So we will have another meeting to discuss that. Thank you.
Evaluation Committee. Internal Board Operations.
Thank you, Chair. We held our meeting on June 14th. We talked about a sexual harassment policy that is being formed as well, and we actually had a guest from Bridges that came in to do a conversation with us around some of the student concerns around that. So that is in the making. We did a conversation around that biannual review for our policies, as well as just talking about general board policy discussion around getting prepared to make changes.
Moving on to Legislative Advocacy Committee report.
In the absence of Chair Woods, I'll be giving the report. So just two things. We're waiting on Tony Thompson to set a date to come back and give us an update. And board members, please let's not forget that your legislative agenda items need to be submitted by July 15th. We know that date, so that means we're giving you over a weekend period to submit that. And Superintendent, if there are any administrative agenda items, we would also like to have those so that we can discuss them at one time, because we want to have everything approved by November, so we can start our process early, so that we can get more traction done in this committee. Thank you.
Moving on to Procurement Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We did meet last week before our work session. There were 3 items. We had a presentation about the healthcare consultant recommendation. Board members had a number of concerns with the recommendation. We did give feedback and instructed staff of the issues that were presented, and so we were told that those would be provided. We had an update on the ERP Apex system. I think we have, we have a 1-year, I think, contract for the Apex, and then I indicated that we would have probably 60-day updates in terms of the process of where we were headed to make sure that the I don't know if it's an interface, but changing over to our new ERP system. So the concern was that I know Mr. Williams said we definitely wouldn't need any more than a year, but board members wanted regular updates to make sure that we were on track with that, and he said that that would not be a problem. Our last item we discussed was the MWBE review process, and we continue to struggle. Board members thought that we would be farther along with the process. There were some things that were discussed in terms of staff that needs to be hired. We were provided with a draft policy, but the policy had not been vetted by legal and policy. I'm not sure that it does need to be vetted by policy, but I would think that would be some input by policy, even if it's just to say it doesn't affect anything we have currently. But we did express a couple of things, concerns that the process for the individuals who would need to be hired would start immediately, not July 1. Ms. Phelan said that she would own that process and she would make sure that that was moving expeditiously. And another request from the committee was that the board be notified by email when there were RFPs that were published for amounts over $100,000. We want to receive the notice that it's gone out. And so if it's gone out public, because there was concern that oftentimes they're going out public, we don't know about it. And whether we're involved at that point or not, it helps for us to know in case questions are asked. So what I'm requesting, Mr. Superintendent, is that going forward, when there is an RFP that is published, that board members simultaneously receive a copy and notice that that RFP went out if the amount is over $100,000. And I think that pretty much concludes our, I think our next meeting is July the 11th.
Mr. Cornell.
Yes, I just want to agree with the chair of procurement, because RFPs can actually set policy. And so we may not have a written policy one way or the other, but an RFP that goes out may say, well, we want this, this, and this for this and this purpose. For example, you could do, when it comes to, well, that's procurement, but we've had situations where the query that we sent out for benefits, the way the benefits are listed for teachers may not be the way we want to offer the benefits. So I think that we ought to know what's going out there, because we may, as a board, want to have different set of benefits than the ones that are being asked to be bid on. And so I agree that we need to keep track. But I have a question of Chair Caldwell, and that is, I thought that all contracts were supposed to come up at a certain time, and is it not in our policy that all contracts are to come up? And Jennifer Irvin, the attorney, are y'all sending the contracts to us, or who's receiving the contracts to come up on a regular basis, if at all?
So I know that several of us have requested it, and I haven't seen anything sent to us yet. I know that in contracts that are under $100,000, we're supposed to receive those on a regular basis. I believe it's a monthly basis. The other thing that we're not receiving is new job descriptions and the salaries for those people whose job descriptions are added after the budget's approved. So I don't have the answer about why we haven't.
What you need, man? What you want? I mean, like, what do you need to get? I mean, because I don't like when there's this kind of feeling that there's something nefarious going on. That's where I'm taking it. So I think that if you're saying that, like I agree with Board Member Jones. Certainly, we can send out RFPs when they go out. They're public documents. If you're saying there's some contracts, like just tell us what you want, and we can make sure. If you're saying contracts on I'm just trying to get clear on what you're requesting, so we can make sure you can get it.
I understand. I apologize if I appear untoward, but the law says that I cannot confer with the chair of the budget committee and deliberate out of session. So,
But you can call me Mr. Cornell and ask me for whatever you
no,
want.
well, see, I just want to make sure that what the chair of budget committee has asked for, we get.
Well, he doesn't have any individual directive or rights. I mean, the board can set policy, and what the policy is what the board says. So if there's some things that you haven't been getting and we've erred or missed the mark, just tell me what you're looking for. I know that policy requires us to post the contracts. Are we saying we're not doing those? Are we saying that, I'm just trying to get at what you're getting at, because if there's an information gap, it's on me to make sure you get what you need. If there's not following a policy gap, then it's on me. But I don't want to leave the impression that somebody's somehow doing something untoward.
Okay. Well, the reason I mentioned Attorney Irvin is there may be a policy where this is required and their office looks at the contract. So I wasn't trying to get anything legal. So let me back up here and just say, I'm interested in knowing what's required, and then if something's not required, I would ask the chair of the budget committee to have a meeting, and then let's just sit around and talk about it. But I can't say that to him elsewhere. You know, we have to do this in the open. And it doesn't feel good sometimes, but since we're on procurement, I would like to just know, where are we in receiving that information? Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
No
Mr.
problem.
Madam Chair, I neglected to announce or remind individuals that there is a MWBE networking event this coming Thursday, June 28th from 8 to 2 here in the board auditorium, and there is a very, very robust agenda. There will be academics from, it appears someone from every department. We'll also have our diversity partners from MLGNW, the airport, the medical district collaborative, Shelby County, and the city of Memphis. And we are hoping that this word has been published. I saw some flyers as I was coming in, but we're hoping to have a good turnout and the beginning of a relationship that will help lead into really having the type of policy and program that we want in terms of diversity spend. So this is a very good start. I want to thank Board Member Love, Board Member Bibbs, who agreed to really head this up, and then all of the staff who worked really hard. I know I see a lot of work has gone into this, so I want to thank everyone. And continental breakfast and lunch will be served. That's an incentive. Continental. Pick one, Mike.
Board member, sorry, I think that's all from procurement. We're gonna move on to Superintendent Hobson's report.
Thank you. Just piggybacking on what Ms. Jones said, she stole my thunder a little bit. I think that the board has been really aggressive with demanding a significant increase in minority spend. I was actually on a panel last week with the presidents of the university here, and we talked about that, and I mentioned the upcoming event. So I think from 9 to 11, we'll be making presentations from everybody in our department. Then I think there'll be just essentially a meet and greet to figure out what some of the forecasted needs are, so people can start to prepare next year for the, I think, almost $300 million we do and spend every year. Also, just want to let the board know, we worked today with the city of Memphis, and we're going to have a cooling center for the next couple weeks. I think we're going to do it at Central, and the city of Memphis is going to pick up all the tab and the cost and upkeep and all that. So just glad to be a good partner, because we know that it's going to be reaching those triple digits in the next few days. So we want to make sure there's somewhere safe for people, particularly our homeless and vulnerable people, to be, so they can beat the heat. I told the board last week we had, I think, 5 vacancies, principal vacancies last week. I have interviewed the finalists for all of those positions, and we will be naming principals at Valentine, Sherwood, Woodstock, Jackson, and Lucy. We did have another vacancy to come up from the principal. Our good friend Bo Griffin is going to be the superintendent in Millington. He's done great work at Raleigh Egypt. He's done great work at Bolton, and he'll do a fine job out in Millington. But that does create a vacancy out there, so we're trying to work through that. And then finally, board, just want to put this on the board's radar. We had a lot of conversation about the textbooks, and I think the science textbooks, the board's directive was for me to work with Mr. Johnson to figure out if we could identify some funds, maybe from fund balance, to pay for the books. We think we can. We have identified funds, but the challenge is going to be now. We don't meet again to make an official ask for the purchase of the books until late July, and we can start ordering the books July 1. So we may be asking for a special call meeting, Madam Chair, I think around the Goodlet construction, because there's so many contractors out there who are so busy, they wanted more time for the bid. So we may ask for a special call. If we do that, we'd like to get a special call to get the book approval so we can start ordering, because I don't want to be out of policy. So I want to make sure because the way the policy reads is once the books are approved, if it's budgeted, which it's not, then we can buy them. So since it's not budgeted, we'll bring it back to the board for final approval. So just want to give you a heads up on that. Thank you.
Ms. Love?
Since Board Member Bibbs took a personal privilege, I would like to take one as well. I just want to thank the Family and Community Engagement Department. They hosted a Hair for Us summer camp for teen girls today, and it was wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Ray. They really inspired the young ladies. They really poured into them, and for that hour and a half, they made them feel really, really special. So thank you, Dr. Ray, and please tell the rest of your team thank you.
And Superintendent, I do think that Whitehaven High School is also serving as one of the locations for the cooling station. Yes, for cooling station. So if we could, Ms. Powers, just make sure that we are putting that on the website as well. There are many people who are actually visit our website, especially up until the start of school. So it would be helpful for parents to be able to have that information as well for those two cooling sites, the locations of the cooling stations. And I'm not sure what the hours are. I guess we can also put that information on the website and send that out to board members. It will be helpful.
We'll do it.
General Counsel report.
No report, Madam Chair.
Okay, we're moving on to unfinished business. We have 9.1 proposed policy revisions. This is the second reading. This is for policy 2014 fund balance and 3007 student wellness. Can I get a motion and a second? Motion by Ms. Love, a second by Ms. Bibbs. Can I get a roll call vote? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Caldwell.
I would again like to say that I think that requiring us to have at least an 8.3% balance is too much. I'd like to see it lower than that. I realize I'm not going to get any traction, but I just want to give my opinion.
Seeing no other lights, we're going to move to a roll call vote.
Board Member Caldwell.
No.
Board Member Love.
Aye.
Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 6 ayes, 1 no.
That motion passes. We're moving on to 9.2, Youth Violence Intervention Initiative. I think we had discussion at our committee meeting, and this is in the dollar amount of $722,280. Can I get a motion? Motion by Mr. McCormick. Second by Ms. Bibbs. Ms. Love? Discussion now.
I do want to make the board members aware, those who were not there, that there will be an accountability metric put in place before school starts, and that will be given to all board members. So we will have a meeting surrounding the accountability metrics before the start of school.
Seeing no other lights, can we get a roll call vote? Ms. Anthony?
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member Love. Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avent.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
That motion, we have a quorum, that motion passes. Moving on to new board business, proposed policies, first reading. This will be policy 4038, family and medical leave, policy 6002, school admissions, and 6043, healthcare management. No action needs to be taken at this time. We're going to move forward with the 11.1 on the approval of the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Yes, I'm sorry, I wanted to move 7.20.
Moving 7. We don't have
All right, just a minute, yeah, it's, all right, let me.
11.20.
Yeah, 11.20, it was 7.20, I think, on the other thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any other items? That's on the 11.20 Whitehaven High School renovations. Seeing no other amendments, can I'm going to read into the record. I need a motion first. Motion from Ms. Love, a second from Ms. Bibbs, and I'm going to read these items into the record. 11.20, MOU, Middle College High School and Christian Brothers University. 11.3, Transition School to Work Grant in the amount of $43,600. I'm sorry, I didn't read the amount for 11.2. 11.2, the MOU, Middle College High School and Christian Brothers is the amount of $147,111. 7.3, Transition to School Work Grant 2017, amount of $43,619.25. 11.4, Transition School to Work Grant 2018-2019, the amount of $182,480. 11.5, Engineering Services, A2H Incorporated HVAC Piping Replacement, Sheffield High School, in the amount of $168,232. Head Start Carryover Grant 11.6 in the amount of $755,271. 11.7, Contracts CleverX Systems Incorporated Head Start Management Software in the amount of $147,920. 11.8, Pre-K Curriculum Purchase in the amount of $853,365.45. 11.9, Classroom Furniture Supplies and Materials for 15 new classrooms in the amount of $201,499.20. 11.10, Phase 1 of 2018 Playground Installation Project in the amount of $295,940. 11.11, VPK Playground Installation Project in the amount of $204,333. 11.12, PDG Playground Installation Project in the amount of $128,279. 11.13, Education Solutions Development in the amount of $600,000. 11.14, Longview Middle School Demolition Project in the amount of $175,782.70. 11.15, Riverview K-8 Gymnasium Wood Floor Replacement in the amount of $134,095.67. 11.16, Maxine Smith STEAM Academy Middle College High School Gymnasium Wood Floor Replacement in the amount of $131,190.94. 11.17, Alcee Elementary School Demolition Project in the amount of $197,200. 11.18, School Cafeteria Redesign Kirby and White Haven High School in the amount of $219,315. 11.19, White Station High School improvements in the amount of $1,327,700. 11.21, resolution to fund deficits in internal school accounts. 11.22, consolidated funding application. And 11.23, Shelby County Sheriff's Office School Resource Officers in the amount of $100,000. And additionally, that was moved to consent was 11, it will now be 11.24, which is camera servers, license card access systems in the amount of $815,837. Can we get a roll call vote?
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member Love. Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
That motion passes. We're now moving to requests for action. 12.1, contract with Porter Leaf in the amount of $20,354,509.
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Caldwell. Second by Mr. McCormick. You want me to, I'm going to be quicker on the draw, Okay, seeing no lights, we're going to move to a roll call vote.
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member Love. Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
That motion passes. 12.2, charter school applications. A motion by Mr. McCormick. Can I get a second? A second by Ms. Bibbs. Any questions or discussion? Mr. Cornell.
Parliament, I just wanted to talk to the parliamentarian tonight. Parliamentary inquiry.
Talk to her, she'll talk to me.
If we vote aye, what does that mean on these?
I was gonna ask, what this is to adopt the superintendent's recommendation. That's the actual motion before us.
So the motion before us is to adopt the superintendent's recommendations, which is that he has provided a list of applications for denial. This does not stop the process for these charter school applicants. They have 30 days in order to appeal this particular ruling. This would be, an aye would be for denial, accepting the superintendent's recommendation for denial of these charter school applications.
Thank you, and if I may, thank you, Mr. Superintendent and Brad Leon, for all your hard work. Thank you.
Okay, so if we could just have a correction, I think the Porter Leaf contract was added to the wrong agenda item. So let's just make sure that that's uploaded to the right agenda item.
It's a document that, it's a funding for Porter Leaf, it shouldn't be in with the schools that are being denied.
Make sure that's uploaded to 12.1. Can I get a roll call vote?
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member Love.
Aye.
Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
That motion passes. We're moving on to 12.4, resolution approving the Shelby County Board of Education fiscal year 2018-2019 budget. Can I get a motion? A motion by Mr. McCormick. A second by Ms. Love. This is in the amount of $1 billion, thank you, $1,455,455,685. And are you wanting to be recognized again, Mr. Cornell?
I was thinking about it. But I wanted to make sure that it's very clear. It is now, I mean, we are dealing with 1.4.5 billion. And that's how big the system is. Bigger than any city or county in the state of Tennessee. Is that correct, Mr. Johnson?
Sorry, Board Member Cornell, I can say that, you know, our budget is nearing, if you take all the funds together, about $1.5 billion. It is one of the largest budgets in terms of school districts in the state.
Seeing no further lights, let's get a roll call vote.
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member Love.
Aye.
Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
The largest budget in the state of Tennessee, aye.
Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
The motion is adopted. We're moving, in error, I looked over 12.3, which is Gateway University facility status. We did not pull it from the consent. We did not remove this item, and so I think there were some questions that the superintendent needed to answer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we actually are going to change our recommendation because they did find a facility within Shelby County, but I know there were some questions. Several board members had some questions. Apparently there was an employee, an ex-employee made some allegations about some different things. So we're actually in the process of investigating those things now. We'll certainly keep the board informed about the findings of those investigations, but I think the allegations just recently came up in the last few days. When we sent over to the board what some of those allegations were.
Okay, so Ms. Love?
So I have a question. I know that last week we stated that we were going to revoke the charter revoke the charter because of the location. Was there anything else that caused this charter to be in non-compliance? Not the allegations, that we received this week, but was there anything else?
No, our recommendation was solely based on their location.
And I think too, per the board's directive, we also reached out to the parents, robocall, let them know what's happened. We'll follow back up and let them know what's happened. Also, just use this opportunity just to let the board know. So, we were updating you on, I guess there's a school legacy leadership. They had some challenges, and so they voluntarily turned over their charter, and they're not going to operate next year. So just want to let the board know that.
So there's no action that needs to be taken on this item. We're going to move. Ms. Love, you have another question? I do. Okay.
So, Superintendent, so this will be, will this be three charter schools under Shelby County Schools that will no longer operate with us?
So this one, and then
Or 3 schools that were operated by charter schools that will no longer be open?
That's correct.
Okay. And then another question for Gateway. What information did you request as far as the building location?
We just said they had to show
Lease?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think they have a signed lease within the Shelby County.
And where are they going to be? Don't say Fraser, please.
Let me look up the actual address and I'll
Okay.
follow up in a second.
Because I think, as we as board members, wherever they're going to be, I think we need to know where they'll be located.
Also, Ms. Love, this came to mind. I know there's some discussion around financial hardship, and we spent some time with Lynn and Brad and really looking at the finances. And I think our recommendation is going to be to do what Nashville did and get an outside, analysis, because if we decide it's fiscal hardship, somebody's going to say you're self-interested. So kind of get somebody, third party, come in, look at our finances, look at what it means, and then use that as a basis for moving forward.
And the address that they're going to be at is 3333 Old Brownsville Road, 38138.
All right, we're going to move on to 12.5, resolution to approve capital improvements projects for fiscal year 2018-19 in the amount of $90,292,947. Motion by Mr. McCormick, a second by Ms. Jones. Thank you, Ms. Jones. And this is just approval of those capital projects. The superintendent did ask for this to be brought before the board to make sure that there were no changes or amendments. And seeing none, we are ready for a roll call vote.
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member Love.
Aye.
Board Member McCormick.
Aye.
Board Member Jones.
Aye.
Board Member Bibbs.
Looking forward to those 2 brand new schools in District 7. Aye.
Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
That motion passes. 12.6, the intercom replacement for Jeter Middle School and Peabody Elementary in the amount of $185,055. Superintendent?
Exactly what it is, just for some intercom replacements at these 2 schools.
Motion by Mr. McCormick. Second by Ms. Bibbs. Seeing no lights, we're going to ask for a roll call vote.
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member Love.
Aye.
Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
That motion passes. 12.7, additional funding request for Hanley Elementary HVAC installation project in the amount of $724,647.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the board knows, we actually approved the installation of HVAC system at Hanley. And when you approve it, you approve a contingency. So apparently when they were installing, they ran into some additional problems, which requires more than the contingency that was approved. So I think it's an additional $125,000.
$116,000.
Can you explain?
Sure.
Explain what?
So, as part of the work on the approved project, came across some degraded piping that has to be replaced for us to continue with the project. And it exceeded the contingency amount that we had appropriated, so we're asking to adjust the contingency by $116,000, and it brings a new total of the contract to $724,647.
Seeing no additional lights, can I get a roll call vote?
Board Member Caldwell.
Aye.
Board Member McCormick.
Aye.
Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell.
Aye.
Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 6 ayes.
That motion passes. 12.8, 12.8, Whitehaven High School renovations in the amount of $712,521. It's on. We added. It was pulled from the consent, and we added it to request for action. 12.8, Whitehaven High School renovation. And I may not have gotten any of them right, but I did get that one right tonight. And Mr. Caldwell, you asked for this item to be pulled. Did you have a question? Okay. Can I get a motion? Motion by Ms. Jones. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McCormick. There are no lights. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Board Member Caldwell.
Abstain.
Board Member McCormick. Board Member Jones. Board Member Bibbs. Board Member Cornell. Board Chair Avant.
Aye.
You have 5 ayes and 1 abstain.
So the parliamentarian is giving me clarification that it's an abstention but present.
No, the vote is present.
The vote is
but not
present.
voting.
Present but not voting. So currently, we are voting on item 12.8, which is the Whitehaven High School renovations. We have present but not voting, and then we have 5 ayes in your vote, Ms. Love.
You have 6 ayes and 1 abstention.
Okay, that motion passes. Seeing no other items before this board, the meeting adjourned.